Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome in. Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, which you already know means it is time for a brand new edition of Snaps, your new favorite college football podcast daily. About an hour long, getting you right through college football news every single day. Shout out to the Volume Sports YouTube channel for having us on here. Shout out to FanDuel for putting us on promo code SNAPS if you're just signing up. And shout out, as always, to Colin Cowherd for sure, and to my co-host, Mr. Aaron Murray. What's up, Aaron? How we feeling today, dude?
Man, happy Wednesday, ready to go, and gonna be a good weekend. A lot of good games. I think we're gonna get into some of them today, tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. We're gonna be breaking down the top games heading into the weekend, and then Friday, T-Bob and I are on a heater right now. We're gonna be giving some lines out. What's our favorite games, picks of the week? So I'm getting them ready right now. I got some sneaky ones that I'm feeling pretty juicy about. I may lay down some money here this afternoon.
Okay, dude. I'm excited. What's up, Christopher David in the chat, Dylan Meadows, Bilbo Baggins, everybody else hanging out right now. Aaron, that was interesting. You kind of hit me with like the K-pop teen girl, like double peace sign there when I welcomed you. Were you just like confused about what to do with your hands? Just kind of like did whatever popped into your head?
I feel like really, when we're in like half, I feel like I have to really get my hands in front of me. So, and speaking of, we do have use your words today, and I got to find my damn board. So,
wow, look at this guy.
No, I see it. It's
classic lack of preparation. Unbelievable.
What are we doing?
Well, just kidding. You'll have time to find him when we talk to Chris Trevino later. As right before the show, we just sat down with USC beat writer from 247. Very interesting conversation concerning USC, their validity as a playoff team. And Chris, somebody covers the team very closely, really offers some great perspective. So look forward to that in a bit. By the way, I'm doing excellent, Aaron. Thank you for asking. Because tonight, you can see I got my Star Wars shirt on. Andor premieres. In fact, it's already out right now, which now means for the rest of this fall. There we go. Look at the Dan in the chat. Chris 10K Trevino is the man. You'll see why he's called 10K in a little bit, and I agree. But tonight we get an Andor premiere, which means, Aaron, for the rest of the fall, my little sports-loving, nerdy heart, Wednesday night, I get Andor. Thursday night, I get Papa Bezos and the excellent Amazon football broadcast. Friday night, I get Rings of Power and all my mythological fantasy, love fulfilled. Saturday, I get football all day long and uninterrupted. Sunday, I get a little chill NFL during the day. And then Sunday night, I get House of the Dragon. I mean, are you shitting me, Aaron? Could life be better right now? I don't think so. So I'm very excited for today. I'm also excited for today's show. And you should be too, because we're starting with a man who looks like he could be your brother in some pictures. We're starting with a man who in many ways is your brother due to y'all shared kinship as QB1 of the Georgia Bulldogs. You already know I'm talking about Stetson Bennett. And make no mistake, dude, there is a campaign rising right now. And as Georgia continues down this undefeated path where they look all but unstoppable, Stetson Bennett, or I guess this is the question, could he actually win the Heisman Trophy? A man who just finally now got his first off season as QB1. Could he win the Heisman, Aaron Murray?
Well, he's going to be in the discussion when anytime you're the reigning national championship quarterback and a guy that right now I think we all believe is going to lead his team to a possible another national championship. The name's out there. The story is absolutely amazing. I mean, what better story could you want to tell if you're the Heisman campaign to Hollywood, for goodness sakes? A guy that was a former walk-on that came, the mailman, left because he wanted to play football, came back because he just wanted to be a Bulldog. It was his dream to be a Bulldog and to wear the red and black, earn a starting position, continue to be doubted by the fans, wins the first national championship in 41 freaking years, and then comes back and possibly does it again. So yes, if they're in the conversation to be in the playoffs, if they're in Atlanta, which I think we all assume they will be in Atlanta at the end of the day, playing for the SEC championship, and he continues to put up the stats that he's putting up right now, he will be in Atlanta. And I think someone in the chat just said Brock could win it. Brock, obviously one of the best players in America, the best tight end in America. the issue with that, just like we saw last year with Alabama and their defensive end, is you can kind of take them out of the game. And I think Brock wasn't necessarily the strong start you were expecting, just because there's so many weapons and there's so much focus on how do you slow down Brock Bowers. Stetson is a quarterback. Stetson's going to put up the numbers, and not only throwing the football, but running the football as well. For those who missed it last week, my man's got a little jiggle, a little swiftness to him there, making guys miss in the hole, running the touchdown versus South Carolina. So the dual threat capability as well adds to that possibility of Stetson being in New York. So I think he will. And I'm stupid. I wish I would have put some money early in the season when the odds were crazy stacked against him. But I don't feel like Bryce is going to be able to do it, just because he has to have even better numbers from last year to be, to me, a back-to-back Heisman winner. I think Caleb Williams on the outside, West Coast, is going to have a chance. Obviously, our guy at Ohio State, CJ Stroud, I think is going to have a chance. But Stetson is going to be right there in the thick of things when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and look, man, if you were in the chat, and I agree, I think ironically, the thing that may end up hurting our boy Stetson is what Christopher David kind of alludes to here when he says Taquavius is averaging 317 yards passing per game in 2.5 quarters. Like, honestly, it may be how good Georgia is that ends up taking away a bit, because he will lose stats because of it. But, I mean, if you just look at the numbers right now, completing 74% of his passes. What? Yes. No, it is a lot, dude. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And in a very short amount of time. Like, if you extrapolate it to, like, if they really mount a Heisman campaign, depending on how much Georgia starts to blow people out, they may have to come up with like a stats per minute metric to explain, like, no, he's actually been better, like, on a per minute basis than the other guys. He just doesn't play the full 60. But right now, he's playing 74% of his passes, almost 11 yards per attempt, y'all. 10 is elite. And he's at 10.8 right now. He's got 5 touchdowns, no picks, 317 per, like we said, 3 more touchdowns on the ground. Okay, yes, Stetson Bennett is a legitimate Heisman candidate, obviously. If you out there listening right now, watching on the Volume Sports YouTube channel, if you don't think Stetson Bennett is a legit Heisman candidate, it's probably because you're a bit beholden to the past. Maybe you're kind of you have a vision of who this quarterback can be, and you have not updated. I mean, Brum, we were doing some research before the show, and we found some old pictures of Stetson Bennett. Show me Stetson with Kirby from back in the. I mean, look at this, Aaron Murray. This does not even look like the same kid. This kid looks aggressively nerdy and aggressively bad.
He looks like Screech. He looks like Screech.
He looks like Screech. You know what video I watched this morning that you'll appreciate, because I think it might have been from 2013. You know, the dogs, the guy in the white body paint was like, it's all about the dogs. Stetson looks more like someone who would be in the stands in this picture with the other guys all body painted up, ready to cheer on the Bulldogs, rather than the one leading the Bulldogs. So I get it. You're like, this guy can't win Heisman, and you're right. But you know who can win Heisman? Taquavius Bennett. And you mentioned the wiggle showed last week, Aaron. That move, that cut, that was Taquavius. This cut here, this is Taquavius. If you're listening on a podcast, we're looking at Stetson in the barber chair, faded up. Some really beautiful, almost like Renaissance painting-esque lighting in this picture as well. Like, I kind of feel like, honestly, I'm a big fan of Roman history. I've looked at a lot of like Roman busts in my day, and he looks like a Roman general. And the fade is nice.
Perfectly edged up on the sides. I mean, the fine line. I got to step my game up. But
the point of this is he's evolved. Clearly. I mean, look at him. He has quite literally evolved. Now, I'm not talking like figuratively or his playing style has evolved. No, he has evolved into a different human being. And Taquavius Bennett is now a legitimate Heisman candidate.
Well, he's confident. You talk about his play hasn't changed a lot. I would say it's changed a little bit, because last year he was reckless at times. I think it drove me crazy. There was times that he was, whether inside the pocket, especially outside the pocket, where he felt like he had to make every play. He was like, man, I gotta prove to the nation, I gotta prove to the dog nation that, like I am a elite quarterback that I deserve to be QB1. It shouldn't be these other 4 or 5-star guys that are on the roster, but I can make every single throw. So that was it was essentially a big old chip on Stetson's shoulder, and he was trying to prove everyone wrong instead of just playing his game and understanding that, hey man, I'm good enough to play at this level, and Kirby's not going to put me out there if I'm not good enough. And I think this year, in talking with him, he really went back. He went back and watched the film and said, I have to do better of protecting the football, protecting this offense, and going out there and executing at a high level. And if I do that, this team's going to be really darn good. And so far, that's been the biggest difference for me in his play. He's not forcing the ball into bad situations. He's taking care of it. Monken's doing a great job of getting the ball out of his hands. I think he has a tremendous release. He has great feet. He gets him in a position to throw immediately, and he gets him on the move. He's a great athlete, not just throwing to the right, but we've seen over and over again Stetson rolling to the left and throwing. And for a guy that's 5'10", 5'11", 190, 95 pounds, he packs a punch, man. He packs a punch throwing the football. I think he can make every single throw you could possibly want, from the deep outs to the corners to the digs, the go balls, the post routes. Is he an elite Justin Herbert, Josh Allen? No, but there is not a throw that Stetson Bennett can't make. It was just him now being, I would say, comfortable in his own shoes, not feeling that he has to go out there and every week prove himself. The fan base believes in him. His teammates believe in him. And I think that goes a long way when it comes to going out there and playing his game. And I think that's where we're seeing him go out there and do right now. So Stetson, Mailman, Stequavius, all three for Heisman. Let's start the damn campaign.
Bill Baggins asks Snaps, what tattoo does Stequavius get first? Arm sleeves with area code star / UGA logo, or AJ McCarron style chest tattoo?
Please, not AJ. God.
I mean, please, dude, please. And maybe we'll have AJ on one day. I don't know, but my God, that is a bad tat. It's if you've never looked up AJ McCarron's chest tattoo, turn this show off immediately. Do yourself a favor and do it. I do think a half sleeve would go very
AJ
nicely
on his chest. It says AJ on.
I think my memory of it. I think my memory of it is a kind of comical Jesus with maybe a crown of thorns in his head. Let me double check.
There is multiple religious paraphernalia.
There's a lot of religious iconography. So
there's a cross, God, image of Jesus with thorns. I do not see an AJ. I guess maybe J for Jesus.
I guess not.
But you know,
there's a lot going on though.
It's a bad picture of Jesus, if we're being honest. Like it's very poorly done. It looks like it was drawn by a child, which is why it's actually, you know what? This tattoo is actually entering so bad that it's good territory right now with me. Now that I'm studying,
I think if AJ's going to do it, he just needs to do the full chest. Like you can't just do the chest. I mean, the full body. Like you have to go to the abdomen, you have to go to the rib cage, you have to go full arm sleeves. Like if you're going to commit to doing something that big and outrageous, you can't go halfway. Like you got to fill up. Essentially, at this point, I think he has to fill up the whole body. Go abs.
Well, it's like when we talk to our boy 10K in a minute here. You can't go half stepping into that hole, dude. That's what my old man always raised me. You got to hit the hole. Just saying, Quavius broke bad. And now last thing on Stetson here, and then we'll move on. He's playing with confidence. I love this Instagram post from him the other day, where he says, "You were thinking it'd be different this time? Maybe next year. Hashtag thank you, Williams Bryce." I mean, anytime I was talking shit, it was when I knew I was kicking ass, I was feeling my best, and I was feeling myself. And
hey, I will say one thing, T-Bob.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's always nice to talk crap when you know you're never gonna have to play in that stadium again or against that team again. So, you're like, I'll throw some locker room material out there because guess what? I don't have to play this team again. So I'm gonna talk mad crap to South Carolina. So, but I love it though. He's every time I'm around him, there is that sense of he's always on. And there is once again that massive chip on his shoulder where he's out to prove the country wrong. He's out to prove everyone wrong. And I think he's kind of stepped back from that a little bit, but he's a hell of a competitor, dude. Like, he is a warrior out there on the field. And I'm a big fan. I really am. I mean, he to me, he has gotten to Georgia GOAT status. Like, we all think of the greats in Georgia history, and obviously Herschel is that guy, to win a national championship, to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
He is that dude. But, it's still, quarterbacks are looked at as the face of the program, one of the faces of the team, regardless of when you played.
Yes.
If you can win back-to-back natties and be in the Heisman conversation, you're flirting with being on that same level as Herschel.
Yeah. It's like Tarashinsky, Cox, Bennett, all the greats. All right, let's talk about Jimbo Fisher. Because Jimbo had a quote yesterday. He said, quote, "I know this sounds crazy. We're a lot closer, and it seems some things we're getting it, and it's going to keep progressing. And it's ahead of a big matchup.
Just a lot faster, though, T-Bob. Just a lot
yes,
faster.
I was trying to go fast. It still wasn't fast enough. Jesus, dude.
No, you gotta
but they're in Arlington this weekend against Arkansas. And the question is, Aaron Murray, do you buy, like, can A&M build off of what they did last week? And, like, here in a couple of weeks, will we suddenly be talking about A&M like they're good again?
I think so. And honestly, I think they could beat Arkansas. And going back and watching Arkansas, who is one of the worst defenses against the pass. And that's funny enough, because what does A&M struggle with? Throwing the football. But you look at last week's game versus A&M, and I've been pushing this really hard. Get Max in. They put him in there. I thought he looked good. I thought he actually ran the ball effectively as well, which we knew he could do from his time at LSU. But they were also missing some of their better receivers because of the suspensions that came out. I believe it was either Friday night or first thing Saturday morning for guys doing some stuff the night before the game. That hurt the offense a little bit, no doubt about it. You go in with a game plan. You go in with your dudes. Very similar to what Ohio State faced versus Notre Dame. You go in with this awesome idea of how the offense is going to look, where your top receiver is going to be, and then all of a sudden Jackson Smith and Jigba gets hurt, and your other top receiver was banged up before the game too. So now you're going to your third, fourth, fifth receivers who really didn't have the timing down yet with CJ Stroud. I kind of feel like that was A&M last week. You go in with a game plan. All of a sudden, the night before, these guys decide to be complete idiots. They get suspended. Game plan has to be tweaked, and that's the last thing you want to do heading into a game like that versus a quality opponent in Miami. So I think having those receivers back, having Max Johnson in his second game now starting for A&M, going against a really, really bad secondary for Arkansas. I mean, really, really bad. Safeties can't cover. I think the corners are very average on the outside. I think this is a game where all of a sudden you say, wow, they can throw the football. They can make plays vertically down the field.
Well,
and plus, I like A&M's defense. So I kind of agree with Jimbo here. This is a statement game from them. This is a top 10 matchup. And if they're able to pull it off and win, he's kind of walking out of that stadium with his middle fingers up saying, screw you guys. A&M ain't that bad.
Look, no, make no mistake. If Jimbo comes out of here with a win over Arkansas, he has definitely stabilized the patient, right? Like, in fact, maybe already the patient looked like they were going to bleed out. You manage to stabilize him. You get into ICU. If you beat Arkansas and, like, Max Johnson looks good while doing so, then I think you're out of ICU, right? I think you're like, okay, then we are on the road to recovery. You mentioned how bad Arkansas's pass defense is. I was shocked, Aaron Murray, when Ryan Brumley told me this. He was like, let's look up how down there. Where do you think Arkansas ranks in the country in pass defense in terms of yards per game given up? They're dead last. They're dead. They're 131st out of 131 teams. Literally,
no why?
One is worse.
You know why, T-Bob?
No, why?
And I hate to say it, but it's white DB alert, man. You see a white DB out there, you're going to attack him. You're going right after him. I apologize, my brother, but it was a thing that we always knew in the league. You go after him. Just, I mean, they don't have dudes back there. They don't have dudes back there. They're not athletic.
I never respected a team with too many white guys on the defense. This is an unfortunate snaps truth as well. It just is what it is, dude. 131st in the country. And so this is where it all gets very interesting. And I'm not making a call yet on this game, Aaron. I'm not 100% sure. There's a lot of weird matchups, right? Like, okay, yeah, Arkansas is dead last, but A&M's been complete shit at throwing the ball thus far. A&M runs it okay. Arkansas's got an elite run defense. I'm also still worried about A&M's offensive line. I don't think they look good at all. They got pushed around a couple of weeks ago by App State, and they didn't really look good against Miami to me either. So I'm a little where's it? This game's been playing in Arlington.
Yep.
Okay, I'm not willing to make a call on the game yet, but to answer the original question,
A&M's favorite, I think, right?
I would guess so. I think Arkansas's got. We could almost call this Fraud Bowl 2.0. If last week A&M Miami was 1.0, because Arkansas's got some potential real slide. Like it's in the air. They got this game. Who do they have? Alabama, then Mississippi State, then BYU.
I don't think Arkansas is a fraud. I think.
What if they lose three of the next four? What if they lose three of the next four?
Who do they got? They got a bitch of a schedule. I know that.
Yeah, they got an awful four coming up.
An A&M 1.5 point favorite. Shout out FanDuel.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out FanDuel. 1.5 point favorite to now. Sign up. Promo code Snaps.
Arkansas next 4 games are A&M, Alabama, Mississippi State, BYU. Yeah, that's a grind. And then at Mississippi State, at BYU. I mean, I could see them.
Look, if you to it,
I think they're better. I think they're better than Mississippi State, maybe. And then I think they are
that
better
pass
than
defense,
BYU.
though, dude. I mean,
yeah, never mind.
In theory, what is the air raid going to do?
Good point to everything I've been talking about, how bad their pass defense is. So yeah, I mean, they could lose 3 out of the next 4, but then I think they go on a run. They beat Auburn, they beat Liberty. I think that's a coin flip versus LSU, coin flip versus Ole Miss. Yeah,
but I'm not talking about them being okay though. I'm talking about them being like, maybe like third best team in the SEC. And to get that, I think they got to go 2-2 over the next 4, and that starts this Saturday.
I agree.
I'm not picking yet, but where I stand right now is I do think that Max Johnson is a big upgrade over Haynes King, and I think that is critical. Because if you're going to beat A&M, you are going to have to be able to throw the ball. To be clear, I think both teams score a lot of points. I don't see A&M really being able to stop Arkansas either. So the thing that I'm feeling best about in this game is actually the over right now, which may be dumb because A&M's offense has been terrible. So we will see. How did you last one here, and then we'll get to career, I guess. Okay, 30. Give me 30 seconds. How did you think, Aaron, that Max looked in that first start?
I thought he looked fine, honestly. I mean, it wasn't great stat-wise by any means, but first game, once again, like I alluded to, like you're missing some of the receivers that you practiced with all week. I think that kind of threw a hiccup in it. Plus, the receivers are good at A&M. I think that, to me, has been really surprising because Jimbo's recruited top-tier talent for years now, and we're really not seeing that consistency on the outside. And, I know they maybe focus on some big boys up front on offensive, defensive line, but I'm not seeing elite receivers on the outside. So that hurts this offense a little bit. I think Max week 2, though, against this defense can put up some pretty big numbers.
All right. Well, right now I'm so excited. We got to sit down with Chris Trevino at Chris in Trevino on Twitter. Covers USC for Go27 Sports. We are the Petit Trojan boys. Here we are sitting down with Chris. Yo, what's up, everybody? I am so excited to be talking to our next guest because if you've been hanging out with us here on Snaps, you know that me and Aaron have dubbed ourselves Le Petit Trojan Boys because we are firmly on the USC bandwagon here early on. They've already won us some money. They're out there kicking ass on the West Coast, bringing the brand back. And right now, we are talking to one of the best voices to talk USC with, Chris Trevino, covers USC for 247, has one of the most we'll get into all of it. Chris, what's up, dude? Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I mean, I don't know how I got on the radar for you guys, but I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me on.
Well, okay, true or false, Chris? You had Papa Cowherd on your pod at some point.
Yeah, we had him on during the Big Ten news. He came on, one of our most popular podcasts. Obviously, when Colin comes on, everyone wants to listen to him. And he invited me to lunch a couple weeks ago, and I haven't heard back. So I need you guys to send an inquiry out for me.
Okay, dude. Okay, well, there you go. See, look, we are all here because of, like I said, Papa Colin. So that's where the connective tissue lies. And also, me and Aaron have been high on SC thus far, Chris. And we'll start talking SC here. And you cover this team obviously much more depth than we do. How surprised are you with some of the statements that they've been able to make here early on?
Interesting question. I wouldn't say I'm totally shocked because just, everything we covered in the offseason, just all these talented players coming in, what Lincoln Riley has been preaching and just kind of seeing it on the field and in practice and in workouts. And you felt like there's definite change. You could feel it, you could see it. And I think the most shocking part for me is just seeing it in action. I'll be honest, guys. I did not cover the best USC teams over the last 5 years. In the Clay Helton era. So I think that's the most surprising thing is just seeing kind of that 180 flip from what I was covering 3 years ago, 2 years ago, to seeing this high octane offense. I was covering an offense last year that could not score in the third quarter, would not go under center, could not punch it in the end zone consistently at all. And now I'm seeing a team that, doesn't face a third down until the second quarter. That's what happened in the Stanford game, as you guys probably saw. But just a high-powered offense just can go up and down the field at will. It's just that's kind of the surprising part, just how quickly it has turned around and how quickly, Lincoln and these guys have turned them into a top 10 team, a national team, and kind of back on the national radar. I think that's the most surprising part. I'm not kind of surprised that it's working right now. I think just sometimes I get like caught up in like, wow, this is very different from what it was in 2021.
So USC and just the Pac-12 in general, you turn on the channel, and I'll throw some shade at UCLA. There's no one in the stands. There's barely anyone. We got more high school fans at high school games for T-Bob and I growing up than what we're seeing out there. I get it. There's a lot of fun things to do in California. And if football is not great, you're not going to go to the football game. You'd rather go to the beach, rather go shopping. And like T-Bob and I say, focus on stocks and bonds and other good stuff. But USC is good. When are we going to see that kind of energy in the Coliseum?
I think you're seeing it little by little. Season opener, 100 degrees out, 60,000 fans came out. That's a big win considering, kind of the literal environment with that heat. Night game at Fresno State, kind of the lights out thing. Good energy, not as packed as I thought it would be, but they're slowly coming around. They're slowly gaining trust with Lincoln Riley and this team. And if they keep winning, by the time you get to that Notre Dame game down the line, I'm expecting a jam-packed house. And it's little by little. I feel every week you feel a little bit more of the fans, learning to love again, learning to embrace USC football. You saw it a little bit in the spring. You see it on social media, but it doesn't really matter until, it shows up in the ticket sales. It shows up into, people in those USC jerseys in the stand. USC student section fully bought in. They packed it to the gills against Fresno State. But, those everyday fans, some guys, like I said, are just trying to get back to really trusting this team. And I think we're going to see that go more and more and more. They got a couple home games coming up after this road game against Oregon State. If they leave Corvallis with a win, I think we're going to see some rocking crowds again, for Arizona State, Washington State, going into that, obviously, a road game at Utah. But I think they're going to get a chance to show their fandom more in the next couple weeks. So it's getting there. It's building up. But, like you said, LA traffic, a lot of things to do in LA. But they're slowly winning back the fan base.
And it's going to be fascinating to see, man, when you look ahead at USC's schedule. Obviously, Notre Dame is a game that felt really tough at the beginning, feels much more winnable now. And really every game starts to feel pretty winnable for SC, if not maybe even favored in every game. That does beg the question, Chris, are we talking about, in the Trojans, are we talking about a legitimate playoff contender? Something that the Pac-12 has not had in a while now.
I was worried you guys were going to ask me about this because I get this question a lot, and I really don't know where to fall on this question because the schedule and the talent, and it's all there for USC, and they absolutely could run the table or, take one loss and get to the Pac-12 championship, win the Pac-12, and then firmly, obviously, be in that discussion to, be that 4th seed, that 3rd seed, or whatever, however it shakes out. But do I think that they're a legitimate playoff team in the sense that they could win a game in the playoff? I do not. I just don't think the defense is there yet. Obviously, there's still, a bunch of games to be played, and they'll get better. That offensive line is really thin. So a lot of things could go wrong. They're like right on the fringe of something going really wrong and kind of derailing, a possible 10-win, 11-win, undefeated, whatever kind of season. So I think there's some holes there. But just based off, the media nationally wanting them to be good, and I think the poll voters want them to be good, and college football is better when USC is good. I think that's that whole storyline that's pushing them forward a lot more in 2022. So there's absolutely a scenario where they could get into the playoff. Will they be competitive in the playoff? I don't think so. I don't think they're there yet. USC fans were chanting, "We want Georgia." They do not want Georgia. That game would not turn out well for the Trojans. I'm just putting it out there right now. It would not go well. They don't have the horses. They do not have the horses yet. They're a couple years away, but absolutely they can sneak into that playoff. And that's good for recruiting. That's good for the brand, even if they get rocked by an SEC team. But that's still a team that won 4 games last year, and we're talking about them possibly being in the playoff. That's a huge accomplishment for Lincoln Riley in this organization.
Oh my! It's gigantic, and it's a hell of a start. Obviously, to the addition are being added to the Big Ten. Now that you guys have had some time to kind of digest this next move here in the next couple of years, your just overall thoughts, and are fans really excited about leaving the Pac-12? Are they going to miss it? And how much better is it for that brand and UCLA along with them?
Initially, like the day it broke and we ran over to the studio to do, a reaction pod, all that, fans initially, at least on social media, were not happy about it. I was a little surprised by the numbers. We did a poll. But if you look at like the hardcore fans, those message board guys, the guys who, obviously paying for memberships that talk trash or love their team on the message boards, they were all about it. It was pretty much all like, I think it was like 90% were like, yes, this is it. Because when you look at it from the fans' perspective, it's like USC hasn't been great, but also the Pac-12 has also been much worse than USC, and in terms of getting them on the national stage and setting them up for success. And again, like I said, USC has been down, and that has also hurt the Pac-12 ginormously. But when you play for a conference that isn't making the money like a Big Ten or SEC, you get behind the ball, and that's not good in college football, which is all about the money, the arms race, facilities, recruiting, all that stuff. So that extra $30 million, I mean, how can you turn that down? College football and the traditions is a big part of why so many people love it. But in this new age of college football, NIL, arms races, TV money, TV contracts, you have to go where the money is. And that's what USC is doing. USC is looking out for USC. Its brand is a blue blood and is doing what's best for them. So I absolutely agree with what they're doing, and I'm excited for what that's going to kind of look like, USC versus Michigan, Ohio State, Illinois, whatever that may be down the line. I'm excited for that new era of USC football and kind of what it looks like in college football as we kind of move towards these 2 super conferences. But USC did absolutely what they needed to do to look out for them, because that's what it's like in college football. So that money is going to be so crucial, updating facilities, getting their foot back in the recruiting trail, and, going national again. So I was all for it. I am all for it. We love our college football traditions, but it's a new age. You got to adapt or die.
Chris, I want to talk about you for a second here. So on Twitter, you are Chris in Trevino. Everybody should go follow Chris. Again, covers USC for 247. So like if you're into USC, or if you just want to kind of watch this rise of USC firsthand, Chris is an awesome follow. I've been loving it in a couple days now. But one of the things that immediately attracted me to you, Chris, is I'm no stranger to on-air stunts. In fact, I may end up with a dangling cross earring sometime in the next couple of weeks, right? But it says it right here on your Twitter. It's a tweet from January. I will get a 10K tattoo if I hit 10,000 followers before SC starts spring camp. It's followed up by a very large 10K tattoo on your calf. Now, Chris, what I want to ask you about, first off, great job with the follow through there. Excellent work. But like, you didn't go half stepping into that hole. That's a big ass 10K. You could have like hidden a tiny little stencil 10K on an ass cheek or on like an inside of an elbow. No, you were like, no, dude, I'm going for it. And you got a big old 10K on the calf, dude. What was the thought process behind it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I figured you might bring this up because I saw you like the tweet a couple of days ago. Like, oh, he's doing his research. He's doing his research. Yeah, initially I was going to just do like a 10K like on my finger, like right here. But you guys get it. You know, it matches. It meets the requirement basically. But I noticed that when the campaign, you know, from my followers to get me to 10K, it was there was so much passion. Like someone made a Twitter account just dedicated to getting it going. Somebody wanted it on my face. Absolutely not. Someone made a Facebook page about it. So it was so like in my face. I thought it wasn't going to be that big a deal. I thought it would just like blow over and then like whatever, but it like became a thing. And so for me, it was like, they went through all this trouble. I mean, they put in all this effort. I feel like they deserve more than just a little finger. So I settled on the calf. And when I got to the tattoo parlor, because I did it live on our show, he brought me a couple. He brought me a couple of sizes or whatever, and he initially picked out the one that I picked, and I looked at it and it was like, this is kind of small. It's not insignificant, but it's kind of small. And I said to myself, you know, if we're gonna do it, let's just do it. So I just went a size bigger.
Nice.
So I just was like, dude, you know, full send. If we're gonna do it, let's just do it. Baby. So I was like, yeah.
You know, Chris, honestly, it honors the new era of USC football. If we're gonna do it, like, let's do it. Let's go all in on this thing. All right, Chris.
Exactly.
All right, Aaron, you got it.
Oh, I love it. I want to get one more last question from me. I can't let you go without talking a little bit about quarterbacks. Caleb, man, he was impressive last year. But he kind of freelanced a little bit too much at times, and looks like he's refined his game and could be a Heisman guy, man. He looks damn good. I know he's got some weapons around him, but how would you compare him not only to, like, obviously the past 5 years has been a little bit rough, but just in general from the small sample size you've seen, how does he stack up to some of the greats at USC?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Obviously, I've covered, you know, a couple of good QBs, and, you know, Keane Slovis had a really good season. Jackson Dart was really electric, you know, before he went to Ole Miss, kind of that true dual threat guy. You know, Sam Darnold, I was there. That's when my USC beat writing career started with Sam Darnold, so not a bad starting point. But Caleb just has this kind of it factor that sets him above the rest in terms of the guys that I've covered specifically. He just feels different. It's just a little bit more that tier above. And, you know, I've talked to guys in the offseason where it's just like, you know, we were talking about Caleb, you know, in summer workouts and summer PRPs and offseason workouts. And they were like, you know, he's just different. You know, that ball is just, you can tell a Caleb Williams ball. It just, you can tell by the sound. You can tell when it hits your hand. It just comes off different. Like, he has it. So when you hear guys talk about that, you know, guys who have played with some pretty good quarterbacks at USC, because there's always going to be some good quarterback on USC's roster, you know, you start to pay attention. And as far as the greats, you know, he has a chance to be up there. Obviously, you know, a national title would really help his case to being, you know, up there, but Heisman as well. He's a legitimate Heisman contender, legit guy that could be up there at that podium holding the trophy. And, you know, that's a reality that hasn't really set in for USC fans in a while, you know, trying to get back to getting a Heisman back into, the storied program and adding to that collection. And obviously it's set up on paper. You know, Lincoln Riley has obviously produced 2 Heisman winners. Caleb Williams could be the next one. Just so talented, just the way he talks and, you know, his leadership ability. He has everything that makes a Heisman winner. You obviously just has to go out and do it. Just has to go out and win it. They love dual threats. He's a dual threat. I think you were agreeing. He was a little bit freestyling, a little bit too much, holding on to the ball, trying to make too much happen in that pocket. Sometimes you just got to go. just take off. He's been more conscious about staying in the pocket, but I think that, froze him a little bit at times. They had that rough second quarter where they took a lot of sacks, couldn't move the ball, but sometimes you just got to take off. But just the ability to do that in college football and be a playmaker with your legs just helps an offense so much, especially in a chaotic game like college football. He has the stuff to be there in New York when they present the trophy. And, one of my bold predictions I do every season is Caleb Williams, Heisman winner. So I got some stock in that. So I think it could happen. Ooh. He would definitely have a place up there.
Well, I mean, Chris, this means you got to get a Caleb Williams tattoo on your ass if he wins a Heisman, 100%. Tweet it out, put the energy into the world. It's time. Full send evolution, full send 2.0.
Fun fact, I was actually his – I was just say fun fact, he was actually I was actually his swim coach when he was a kid.
No. Okay, that would be way too weird then. I don't think you can.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit weird. But I do have this connection with Caleb going back. So.
Oh man, well that is a small world, Chris. Look, man, enjoy it. There is nothing better than covering a school when they get hot and you get to witness the turnaround firsthand. It's the rise is the most fun part of the sport equation as a fan and a person who covers a team, right? Chris Trevino at Chris N, the letter N, Chris N Trevino on Twitter. Go follow him. All your SC news. Something tells me they're going to be very relevant for the entire year. Chris, take it easy, man. You have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
There he was, Chris Trevino, Mr. 10K himself. And right now, it is time to welcome in our excellent producer, Ryan Brumley, for a brand new edition of Use Your Words. Brum, what you got for us today, dude?
All right, nothing too crazy. We write. I ask a question, you guys write down the answer. Aaron, you'll go first. Arizona State's looking for a new.
Put T-Bob first so I can go grab my board right over here.
What were you doing for the last 15 minutes?
Yeah, we just said
listening to our excellent interview.
Wow.
T-Bob, Arizona State's next coach should be.
All right. Well, you already know what time it is, man. It's time for a little prime time in Tempe. Damn it. My freaking whiteboard marker doesn't really work anymore because I dried it out. It's kind of limping along. But look, man, it's time for prime time in Tempe. The whole Deion to the Auburn thing makes no sense to me. In the Pac-12, you're talking about a step up maybe from where he's at right now that makes sense in terms of competition, not jumping straight to one of straight to the SEC or something like that. He could make going to the desert cool as hell. He would recruit his ass off. I would go Coach Prime if I was a Sun Devil.
I would go with Coach Prime, but if I'm Coach Prime, I'm not going to Arizona. So I'm going with, I was thinking my boy Rick Neuheisel. He lives there in Scottsdale. I know he wants to get back in the coaching. Kind of like him. I just didn't know how to spell his last name, so I went with someone else. We're going to go with Dan Mullen. Mullen's a lot easier to spell than Neuheisel. So,
okay,
Dan, I mean, listen, I think he's doing a good job. I haven't seen too much, a little bit here and there with the halftimes at ESPN, but I just feel like he's young. He probably wants to get back into the game. Offense. It's the name of the game, especially in the Pac-12. I don't know. I like it. I think he'd do a good job out there.
All right, Aaron. The team on upset alert here in week 4 is?
Team on upset alert this week is – I was going to go with Arkansas, but Arkansas is actually the underdog in this game for Texas A&M. So I'm going to switch it up and go a little Clemson Tigers versus Wake Forest, man. This is a big game for Clemson. I still don't really feel this offense too much right now. In Wake Forest, they're going to be able to score. That what they do on offense with the whole ride it to the very last second, pull it and throw it. I absolutely love it. Love Clemson's defense. Don't get me wrong. This is still an elite defense, but can Clemson's offense come alive? That's the question mark. So if Wake gets hot, they can score. And I just don't think Clemson's going to be able to hang with that and be able to put up a lot of points. So Clemson, be on the lookout for that game versus the Demon Deacons.
All right. Clemson was my first instinct, but my final answer was Iowa, as you can see there, bro, the Corn Boys are in trouble. Not only has Iowa looked awful, but last week proved that the football gods hate Iowa. They made those fans, just for getting the joy of seeing like 2 touchdowns, they made those fans sit in the stands for 10 hours worth of boring-ass Brian Ferentz Iowa football. And yes, I said Brian on purpose. We're talking specifically OC here, right? So they got to go now to New Jersey, take on Rutgers. Rutgers and Schiano, they play hard, man. It feels like a really bad spot for Iowa. 7.5-point favorites. Give me the Rutgers money line.
That's all right. Nice work there. Most surprising team 3 weeks into the season, T-Bob, is?
All right. Hold on 1 second. 1 more second. I am writing. Bro, let me take you back to 2007. One of the earliest meme videos out there. And I'm talking about Washington, 6'20", fucking killing for fun. You remember that? Does anybody know what I'm talking about here?
I'm aware of what you're talking about, yes.
On a horse made of crystal, he patrols the lands with his mason ring. It
was Hamilton before Hamilton.
Perfect hands. The point of this is, you know who else has perfect hands? Michael Penix Jr. We love Kalen DeBoer. We're big Washington stands here. Nobody expected anything from him. They're now ranked. They're 3-0. The Pac-12 is frisky. How could it not be the Huskies?
I'm going to go with them Seminoles, Florida State, baby. Jordan Travis. Oh. Damn, he's looked good to start the season. Hopefully he's healthy. He practiced this week. I think he had a little bit of a cryptic text as well, or tweet, kind of indicating that he's ready to get back out there as QB1 for FSU. But they're winning games in the fourth quarter. That means that's a great sign for the Seminole faithful. This team is buying into the culture. They got a quarterback now. I like FSU in that week conference called the ACC.
All right, and to finish up here, the most disappointing team through 3 weeks is?
Aaron, you going to go first?
He sure is.
I'll go first. Yes, most disappointing team through the first weeks is Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, baby. They got a win last week, but you're without your starting quarterback. Just doesn't look good. It's a tough schedule. Notre Dame always has a tough schedule. And right now they're still very average on offense. Not even average, they're below average. So they're going to struggle. There you go. See, we're on the same page.
Same page, dude. How could it not be Notre Dame, right? I mean, I'm not saying anybody thought they were going to be awesome, but you do also have to factor in that we thought they were maybe going to be really good after the Ohio State game. We're like, oh, no, that's just State's defense being better. But, like, look how legit Notre Dame's to follow that up with a loss to Marshall in terms of expectations and then looking like shit against Cal. It's Notre Dame is by far the most disappointing team in the country thus far. Well, look, folks, that'll do it. Jesse McCormick in the chat saying throw 8-4 Texas A&M in there as well. The only thing is, I think there was more doubt on A&M than there was Notre Dame, but they're certainly disappointing as well.
A&M still winning record, though, correct? So, I mean,
yes.
And I think there's still potential there. Auburn's still 2-1 as well. So I agree that those teams. I think we were all kind of not expecting Auburn to be good this year. A&M expectations are always high, but they're not totally out of it yet. So that's why I'm not putting them in there. Give me like another 4 weeks. If they play like crap, then yeah, they're going to be in that category of huge disappointment for the season.
I mean, if they lose to Arkansas this weekend, I think you could probably start to put them there.
Yeah.
We will see. Fraud Boy 2.0 coming this weekend. So that'll do it for this Wednesday edition of Snaps. Again, thank you for listening, y'all. Shout out FanDuel. If you download the FanDuel app for the first time, use the promo code SNAPS to help your boys out. Shout out to Papa Colin for making the show happen. Subscribe and like the Volume Sports YouTube channel. And look, sub to our pods and send it to your friend group, okay? Text it in all of your friend group texts that you are in, and I'll send you nudes. Okay, so that's up to you if you want me to or not. Mr. Aaron Murray, you have an excellent day, dude. You got a radio show coming up?
I do. And enjoy the big night tonight, T-Bob. I'll be there with you, and we'll get a little rewind of it tomorrow afternoon.
Hell yes, dude. Andor tonight. We'll be back with Snaps tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. Then we got a little Thursday. It's going to be a great week. Shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here, and we will see you tomorrow.